You ask me about my students? I'll tell you about my students. In a word, they're dull. They've lost their access to holiness. I know that sounds crazy, but I deliberately put this in theological terms because, you see, these students, these new students, have abandoned the very human instinct for sanctity. For sanctity. I'm talking about our natural impulse to elevate and to divide the profane from the sublime. For whatever reason, they insist on leveling things, on flattening experience in the name of, I suppose, egalitarianism. Like as if we're talking about democracy or nation building or something. And when I'm talking about sanctity, I'm not talking about God or religion even. I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about the color green. I'm talking about a string quartet. I'm talking about movies, cinema. I'm talking about Wallace Stevens. I'm talking Mahler, about Orson Welles, Jackson Pollock, Carla Bley, Titian, Sun Ra, Emily Dickinson. I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about whispering in a museum and not taking selfies in front of the artwork. I'm talking about being humble. I'm talking about being humble in the face of artistic complexity. And yes, I'm talking about respecting one's elders. I'm talking here about the rituals that delineate the contours of culture. I mean, young people these days, they go about whistling in church and spitting on the sidewalk, and they can't tell the difference between a Henri Cartier-Bresson an Instagram post of a sunset in Bali at their friend's destination wedding. Everything is the same to them. It wasn't always like this. My students used to be available to beauty. They used to be available to beauty. They used to be open to enlightenment. They had the patience to ask informed questions. They weren't interested in what a particular work of art meant, but rather how a particular work conveyed meaning. A meaning that was worthy of deciphering. Of course, that how business, those methods of expression, in order to identify them and appreciate them, you must cultivate an ear, an eye, and yes, one must cultivate a soul. But let me get back to the sanctity thing because it's important. I mentioned the idea of respecting one's elders, and obviously not all old people are deserving of respect, but in the context of mentorship, the apprentice, that book, that word has been ruined. But okay, let's say the neophyte. Before before rejecting and rebelling against convention, the neophyte must, as a rite of passage, recognize the earned authority of someone who has labored at their craft for decades. But my students have no appetite for humility. They're not they're not they're not immediately attracted to something if they're not immediately attracted to something, they dismiss it. They dismiss it and they use words like it's weird or messy. Or they say it's busy, it's too busy, or it's elitist. Well, I don't know about you, but that sounds a lot like the Divine Comedy or Joyce's Ulysses. Now, it's become fashionable, too fashionable, to blame the phone, the social media, the reality TV, the Marvel Universe, Costco, the Trilateral Commission, baby formula, COVID vaccine. None of those indictments are useful. It's as if people have no agency. If you have no agency, you have no dignity. It's like if your doctor tells you to quit smoking and go easy on the Big Macs or else you'll die prematurely of a heart attack. Well, only a schmuck would ignore the advice, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm not a Luddite. I have nothing against the internet or even AI. Look, you can stare at your phone and learn all about the gluteal implants of your favorite celebrity. You can watch videos of loud guys making sandwiches. Or you could use the same device and you can learn Latin. It's all the same. It's all the same piece of equipment. But you see, the device I'm talking about is ugly. Its format is predictable. It's handy and convenient, and it makes cute little noises. In other words, it's the furthest thing from a sacred relic that you could imagine. See, a book is talismanic. Painting is iconic. A poem, a poem is incantatory, and a piece of music is mesmeric. A push notification is like a fart in an elevator. We got to get back to a consecrated reverence. We got to shift the conversation away from attention deficits and all that stuff to the pleasures and intellectual rituals of devotion. That's what we got to do.